and a very warm welcome to all of you in this special podcast called Emotionally Yours with Pratik. With me, I have got somebody very, very special, Miss Leena Bokil, who's a renowned space scientist, an astronaut, a space educator, and a multifaceted personality. Has gone to NASA for 7 times, has been one of the major NASA Honeywell educators in India, probably the only one in India. So, hi Leena, how are you doing?
Yes, going great.
All right. So, guys, when me and Leena we met, we interacted, we saw a few pictures of hers with Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and who's the third?
Cosmonaut Rakesh Sharma ji.
Cosmonaut Rakesh Sharma ji as well. It was really, really interesting when we spoke about her journey. So today I'm going to ask her to unfold her journey so far and how she overcame various challenges on the way. So please watch it till the end and listen to her very inspirational stories, how emotions worked for her and not against her. So over to you, Leena. Leena, let us go back. I was going through your profile. I saw that you've done electronics engineering from Belgaum, right?
That's right.
So if the truth be told, I'm an engineering dropout. So this is closest to the engineering I ever could get.
All right.
So we'd like to understand, and my audience would like to understand your journey so far from Belgaum to NASA. How did it go and how's it going? And now a special space educator.
Yes, it all starts with my childhood dream, my passion for science and technology. In general, science and space science technology in particular. Well, back then, when I would do stargazing, I did not know what it was called. Today, I know it's called astronomy, astrophysics, cosmology as well. But then, yes, my dad, my father, my chief mentor, and my greatest inspiration, he would take us to the terrace, or we would watch, the sky and then nakshatra and the constellation, all this stuff we would watch. And then he would tell us how universe came into existence, the Big Bang. And we didn't know much theories, but I was fascinated. I was fascinated by stars, and Dad taught me to dream, to go to the stars. And if you miss it, at least you land on the moon. This has been my philosophy all along.
That's a very, very emotionally inspiring theology that we talk about. Aim for the stars. If you fall down, you land on the moon. Yep. And you literally landed on one of them.
Yes.
Right. So when during childhood you started pursuing your dream, that's when probably, wherever we all grow up. I grew up in a small town in Marathwada called Hingoli. And Belgaum then would have been almost of the same size, if not bigger. Yeah. I feel that, right from childhood, we've been told that this is the beaten path, an assured way of getting into the jobs, make an earning for yourself, and then settle down in life. But somebody like you, who always believes in unsettling the things and following the passion, following the dream, I'm sure in the initial days when you disclosed that being into space, educating people in space education, so on and so forth, was your dream, I'm sure you must have faced certain resistance saying that kya jarrat hai in sabki. Yeah?
Absolutely. Right. Okay, first of all, like you talk about the path, when I come across a fork, there are 2 paths. I don't get confused. I take the left one. Or I'm a left-hander and right brain dominance. And also, I take up the path that is full of resistance, full of challenges, and the least trodden or the least taken path. So, all my life, I have created my own path and didn't walk on a path that was made or given on a platter. So this is what I've been doing since childhood. And well, I was good in math, always 100 on 100 and 99 in science. Wow. So there was nothing else I had to do or nothing else in my mind. And my dad, because we had a foundry, he would take me to watch the furnace and casting and all. And I didn't know what it was all about, but I would just look at that molten metal and creating things. So that is how I got fascinated to engineering. And then I chose electronics, telecommunication engineering. Well, then I received also scholarship and, merit seat and all that. So it has been a cakewalk in a way. But then, yes, full of challenges. Electronics, trust me, it's like a lot of abstract things, imagining. No one has ever seen an electron except for the electron microscope. So this is how I started, from particle physics, atom and proton, neutron and all that. And then I opened it up and created something like universe of my own around myself. And then thanks to my teachers, also in school, Sister Rose, my teachers for science, Shantalakshmi ma'am, and then Professor Madhuri Shanbag, she's a renowned writer. Then Professor Hansraj, who inspired me. And he would personify, electron, this fellow, this is jumping from this energy level to this, quantum jump, so on and so forth. So I have been fascinated by that. And then after becoming an ENTC engineer, then my real struggle and hard work and the real journey actually began then.
So it was really nice to hear about your electronic engineering experience, etc. Now let me take you to something which is a little off track, but then it's a little futuristic in terms of your career journey that you've unfolded so far. I'm going to ask you about, when you went into sciences, and then from a corporate job, you migrated into an education job, and then finally reaching to NASA, where, space sciences and avionics, these are fields which are full of volatility, right? And it's always said, expect the unexpected, the Murphy's Law, etc. How do you normally respond to such emotionally charged situations because I'm sure the pressures are going to be high, the stakes are high. Right now, we're talking about bringing Sunita Williams back, and by the time we're talking, I'm sure there are a lot of pressure situations that are developing. And in avionics, I'm sure you must have encountered such situations. So how do you normally manage your emotions in such difficult times?
Yes, I did my first job for Department of Science and Technology. So it started off very, in a great manner, because Dr. Kalam sir's, Honorable Dr. APJ Kalam sir's project this was. So I did my initial research on the sensors, transducers and actuators. And then it was a temporary assignment. So after it was over, then I was like, what next? Because in my very first job, I got to visit ISRO, Bangalore, and Satellite Application Center, Ahmedabad, and IISc Bangalore, Raman Research Institute, so on and so forth. And then everything came to a standstill because it was just a temporary assignment. And then quickly I got another job in Electronica, in the R&D. But then I had some hiccups, problems there, in the sense I was in the R&D, but then after some time, eventually I got to do work like a clerical stuff, so like documentation and all. And
more of process work.
Yes.
And then being creative.
Yeah,
and being a left-handed, you take pride in being creative, which I agree.
Yes.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I'm not made for this kind of a job. I didn't do engineering for this kind of stuff. So I asked them to give me some work, like more of technical stuff and all. But then no. So I waited patiently. Yes, patience is something that I have cultivated, developed. So that emotion, because sometimes I would get restless. What is this? But then I said, hold it, be patient. So, but things didn't go my way. And then I said, it's either highway or my way. So,
all right.
And then I quit that job. And there was another thought process going on. So like you asked me the question that's very relevant, and it was a paradigm shift. So I came to education, to teaching or academics. That was when my thought process began, and I said, yes, I'll do this. And then after coming to teaching field, because I don't belong to any category or reservation, and also I didn't get a permanent job. I sensed that I was sidelined or utilized as someone's substitute, so on and so forth. So those were the times when I was disappointed, and I took it to heart. I said, I think I'm lacking something. So I did some introspection. I sat down coolly. I was calm, and then I said, no, I'll gather my wits, I'll gather my courage and do something different. Now is the time to, start something, embark on an altogether different journey. So that was when I got this opportunity to teach aeronautical engineering subjects and something that I love to do, avionics, that is the cockpit electronics. So my inherent intrinsic qualification and liking for electronics, coupled with my love for airplanes.
Oh.
For that matter, all flying objects. I love to even fly. So I think I was born to fly. So I took up these challenges because the other faculty members were like, no, my performance may not be good. But I was like, it will not affect because I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to gear up. And it's time to go from 0 kilometers on Earth, that is in a simple electronics lab that I was working. And I started very modest, very humble beginnings. And then I said, it's time to take off. And then I flew literally and figuratively 40,000 feet, where airplanes fly.
Right.
And it was there when I was teaching an aeronautical institute that I got to know about NASA's Space Educators program. And then I applied for it. It was a simple application, personal information, and there was an essay. I wrote a 100-word essay.
Wow.
All right.
Essays are in great demand these days. 100 words, 300 words.
Today's context. Right. But on a serious note, yes, in those 100 words, I made an impact, so much so that the NASA guys also thought, yes, this is one lady who is very passionate about space, about teaching, about this entire subject. And I'm sure after she gets through this training, she'll do something and give back to the society to train the students. Because trust me, there are no engineering colleges as much for space engineering technology. So students don't have the path, or they don't know how to reach to that destination. So that was when I got selected at NASA, and that was the turning point, and everything changed. It was a life-changing experience for me. Trust me, my professional and personal life changed with that forever.
Wow. So when, the series of events that you've described, from a private company to being an educator, then pursuing your, passion, flying 40,000 feet, so on and so forth, it sounds so exciting. And it's always said that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a small step. With that, let me take you to the experience that you had when you met and you saw all the 3 astronauts who stepped onto the moon for the first time, where there was a famous quote which says, it's a small step for a man, but a huge step for mankind.
That's right.
I'm sure those would be the enlightening moments for you. And when you knew that you're going to be into space education, you yourself have done spacewalk and have been into the space suit. What was the feeling that, right from electronics engineering, pursuing your passion onwards, that you've reached here, and the journey is very, very enriching. All right. When you see such enriching journey, I'm sure it's full of the hard work, toughness, difficult situations that you explained in while working for a corporate company.
Yes.
Which were really difficult moments for you emotionally? Okay, right from meeting the astronauts to going for a spacewalk for training the new upcoming generation, so on and so forth? And how did you overcome them with the resilience that you've spoken? You spoke about developing patience, but I'm sure there's a great deal of resilience, there's a great deal of self-awareness and regulation. At the same time, there's a great deal of stress management in all through, because the margin of error is not even zero. It's much lesser.
True. Yeah, great question, because it's very relevant. And yes, I quoted Neil Armstrong in that essay. This is a small step for man and a giant leap for mankind. And also, I showed or displayed through those words very genuine interest in this field. And as an educator, they saw maybe the patience and perseverance that I possess, the determination and hardcore, this metal and the grit. It's a combination of physical strength and fitness, and also the mind that I need to control. So it's a mind game after all. And yes, when I got selected and I went to NASA, it was very enlightening experience. 4 years of engineering had taught me and geared me up for this big step. So yes, I went through simulation. I did spacewalk, microgravity training, and very fascinating and exciting, phenomenon this is, all the multi-axis chair, everything that astronauts go through during their training. But this is a precursor to astronaut training. So I was the only one who was very fit, and I did the, underwater, this rescue operation, everything without any hiccups and no inhibitions. That's because I also train my mind. Mind can go to the edge of the solar system. Trust me. Your mind can go places where you have not even imagined. But I had to control all this, and I got into this particular program. And they also teach us to compartmentalize. Like, I'm sitting here and I'll not worry about home as a parent, as a teacher, or about what is going on in space. Yes, to rescue Sunita Williams and Butch from space, there are so many concerns, but I'll not think about those. Right now, I'm sitting here and living in the moment, and I'm answering your questions. So all this training I went through, and I became more aware during my NASA training. So trust me, it's extreme physics, science, technology, and also the astronaut training. So I got to meet the administrator of NASA back then when JFK was the president. And all this, I got that passion and that strong drive that yes, space is the place where real action lies. Now this is where I've got the grip, because all these years I was not getting the grip of my career as well. Like, I was teaching, I was enjoying my job, but then the true calling I got through this NASA training, it was a validation. And after that, I received accolades, and people called me to felicitate me, to, give me awards, rewards. But then long back, I knew this is the right track. So it's like my inner voice that tells me, yes, Leena, you are on the right track. You are on the right path. So I've reached a point or a stage where I don't need others to give me recognition, and I don't need to prove to others. I did it all for myself. I did it for my own success. And for me, success is like, this was my goal and I achieved it. And I went 7 times, always raising the bar. And every time there are new avenues. And coming back to this question, yes, well, during the International Space Conference at Orlando, Florida, I got to meet the famous trio, the Apollo 11 astronauts, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. So it was such a humbling experience, trust me, because they were all 40 years old when they walked on moon. They were not even born. And when I met them, they were all 80 plus. And full of energy. So that's very infectious, I could catch that. So inspiration, the energy, all this I get from others. And then I'm ready to inspire the young generation. It's very infectious, trust me. And I channelize these energies, and then I make the youngsters also find the right path.
Excellent. What I hear from you is compartmentalization is the first thing that one has to really look at whenever one is following the passion. Okay, there are other things like home affairs, financial affairs,
Right.
our career affairs that we need to manage. But at the same time, it's really equally important to be in the moment and make maximum out of that moment.
Yes.
So staying in that moment, getting focused and getting driven is something that's been a big success mantra that you've shared, and the inspiration that you've drawn. When you look at the moments where there are major setbacks, because I remember there were instances where, ISRO missions could not complete its objective and they failed a couple of times. And there's a pretty gloomy impact on the team. I'm sure you must have faced similar experiences as this. So the team has really put great amount of efforts to turn things around, but somehow they didn't succeed or they didn't yield the right results. In your life, were there moments like this, A? And B, I'm sure you would tell me how energetically you fought over. Because when I sit with this young lady, I can sense the energy and the infectious energy that's infecting me right now.
Fair enough. Yes, that's a very major part of space missions, Plan A and Plan B. This is the mission objective. We'll go as per Plan A. If everything works great and we achieve the mission objective, yes, it's mission accomplished. But then anything and everything can go wrong, especially in air and space. So then we'll fall back on Plan B. And then we need to work on that and fix things. Right now, what's going on at the space station, I can really relate to that. So in real life as well, when things were not going the right way, as per my plan, my objective, then I had to sit back and think. And I'm very sportive. I play sports, table tennis also. I'm like, okay, I'm not a loser, but today I lose. Then I'll sit back and I'll say, yes, I didn't give my best today. I'm not at my best energy. Somewhere there is a setback, a lacuna. And then tomorrow I'll win. I'll overcome. So this is something that I have always taught myself and trained. And I have overcome great barriers because of this. And like I always say, when it's space mission, especially for the rocket, when it lifts off, there's meganewtons of thrust. Because you need to escape that pull, Earth's gravity. And only then you can go upwards, lift yourself and become weightless. So I needed a lot of inner strength, my mental courage. And that was when I had changed the job also. I didn't have a job in hand and I quit the previous one. So others were like, oh, how can you do that? But I don't get deterred by what others think or what others say. And it's my own absolute enjoyment, my passion. It's my life, my career. So nothing else matters. Having said that, yes, I have always gathered my wits, my courage, and then I bounce back. So this is what I have always done. You can fall, you can face failures, but then sports also teaches us to overcome failure and then also handle success. Like it can go into your head, but then balance. I tell myself, yes, just maintain the balance and be composed.
This is a step in the continuum and not the end by itself, is what I hear. And And I echo the sports part because I have played sports. I played Jasdanwala Trophy during my young days as a cricketer. I have played tennis during my college days. And I can tell you that, sports teaches you many things, like you rightly said, not to get bogged down by what people say, not to really, get the success into your head, or not to get carried away by short-term success. At the same time, not to really take failure to the heart. Now let me take you to something important and something interesting that I found out in your profile, that you've been doing. You're going for a pre-doctoral research on aliens and their existence and the BTC, right?
True.
Right. So what really made you think that there is a life outside Earth and you want to explore it? I'm sure it must have been out of that extreme good energy and the drive that you have for your subjects. But this is something which is really, really interesting. I'd like to know a little, and I'm sure my audience would like to know a little more on this.
So it's like, because I'm a left-hander and I'm allowed to think out of the box. PCM, physics, chemistry, mathematics, they have been my favorite subjects and my cup of tea. But then I also love biology, life sciences. I never gave up anything or kept anything as an option. So astrobiology, that is search for alien existence, ET, life elsewhere in the universe, this has been fascinating me since childhood. And then I said, yes, being in this field now and being a space educator, and I need to choose a subject for research. So I'll definitely take up the most challenging. And it's the ultimate aim of space exploration, to find or to search and have a quest for this. This question arises always. How did life come here on Earth? Yes, there is a possibility that there was a comet that brought life along with its tail, and it's a probability theory. And then Earth, our only home, our home planet, hosts us or life, different plant and animal kingdom organisms. There is water, H2O in liquid form, and nitrogen, oxygen, and all this. And life here is carbon-based. So my question always was, is there alien life and what is it? Then studies say that it could be phosphorus or silicon-based, and it's complex philosophies and theories. Well, and having said that, yes, I was given a choice to study, to do my master's in digital electronics, this and that, but I took up telecommunication engineering. And then after my PG, this is the field that in India, we don't allow. We say go by this track only. There are limitations. But then thanks to my education, my higher specialization and higher studies in NASA, this training, and then Edinburgh University, from where I could do this course, search for ET existence. And then that is my area of interest now. So when I'm not talking about space engineering, then I'm talking about aliens, extraterrestrials, and UFOs. Do they exist? And yes, I'm sure they exist, simply because we need to expect the unexpected. And as an engineer, as a space scientist or researcher, I do not rule out any possibilities. We need to accept. Acceptance is very important. All probabilities, all possibilities, I need to encompass. And I don't have a narrow approach for anything. I have a very broadband and broad approach, a very holistic and all-encompassing, attitude, because of which I think now I'm in the right place.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, like, you're inspiring the young minds, you're going to inspire a lot of people with your fantastic journey. Something that you've said just now has created a spark. In terms of ET, life, etc., you're pretty broad on your thought. And more than going any unscientific method, you thought of going through a scientific method. You see a lot of scientific approach these days missing and proving the theories. Everybody goes back saying that in in the back old days and the golden old days, these were the things used to exist, though there's no evidence to it.
Right.
But then, with the right scientific temperament, with the right, as you rightly said, all-inclusive approach, you could probably look at things in a different manner. What really is something that you would say in that non-scientific temperament versus the scientific temperament through which you're going through the research?
Well, yes, your question is very, very unexpected, but also yes.
You said that expect the unexpected,
That's
isn't
right.
it?
Yes, that's right.
Right.
And it's very relevant at the same time. Trust me. See, there is one way to approach, that is a scientific method. And science believes in experimentation. The theories are put forth. Then we need to prove that through experiments, and not just once, always. It should yield the same result, and only then we'll say that this is right, and then something we rule out, etc. But then also, because of my guidance, the guidance that I received from my father and my mentor, Dr. 𝙎𝙪𝙗𝙮 𝙭sir, who was a nuclear physicist. So at this point, I'd like to acknowledge what impact late Dr. 𝙎𝙪𝙗 sir had on me as a person and my career. So he would say, we are scientists, but then beyond scientific temperament, then there is something, and the scientific intellect, beyond that is spiritual or something that is, not a real science, but it could be pseudo, or people call it different terms. But then, yes, we need to have that full trust or faith or shraddha. And he would always say, you are Leena, so talleen ho jana. Okay. That is how your name has come, I'm sure. So I get engrossed and go with that flow, and then I forget everything else and I just surrender myself. Wow. So this is how we also don't rule out the fact that there is God or there is no God. The entity, that supernatural power, energy, and how did universe come into existence? Was it just one particle, God particle and Big Bang? Or is there something else? Something beyond that. So we talk about energy in this field. Right. So energy, frequency, aura, cosmic energy, so on and so forth. So yes, I really believe that there is some supernatural power and some creator. Life came accidentally here on earth, but it's miraculous that how we all were created. Right. And is there life elsewhere in microscopic form or protozoan? Microorganisms, or it could be like powerful green men, or what we see in Hollywood sci-fi, that kind of stuff. So I can imagine, I sit down and close my eyes, and then I can imagine, kalpana and imagination, that thing. And then science is something that is that's vast, enormous. But then we also now, like you asked me this question, there could be people who are training people, or they say we'll solve your problem. So the life coach or spiritual gurus and all, they are giving people the strength to overcome their problems or challenges, I'm sure. But then there are some hoax or some people who have just started some stuff like misusing their power also. That is happening. So there is a balance in the universe, I believe. There's good and positive thing, and then at the extreme end of spectrum, the negative and this. But this is life,
Excellent. So Leena, it was really wonderful talking to you. I'd like to understand how was your experience of this podcast, Emotionally Yours with Pratik. Please, we'd love to hear from you in terms of how you felt today and how's been your day.
Well, it's a great pleasure talking about me, my emotions. For the first time ever, I'm talking about myself, this at length. That's because I talk about space. I can talk about Kalpana Chawla, Sunita Williams. I can talk about others, but it's difficult to talk about yourself. And with that thought process, I also rediscovered myself. So it was a great experience. And my takeaway is that yes, I did that kind of introspection, and I know where I stand and what's my future journey ahead. And the message to all youngsters as well is that focus on the journey and not the destination. And I have achieved whatever I have achieved until now, it's been because of my laser focus. So keep your determination, be focused, don't ever lose your cool, and it's never the end of the world or end of the road. So when you go into space, space is infinite, and so are the opportunities. So never get depressed and say that I have nothing else to do. No, just have a purpose in life, have a mission. So, as for me, yes, I know that ambition is never content, even at the summit of greatness. Napoleon's quote. And having said that, for me, more than ambition, it has been a journey. It's been a mission in life. So, it's great to discuss about my thoughts, my dilemma, and all that I went through in such a forum and at such a platform wherein maybe the youngsters will face something like this. They can relate to the situation. Sure. So I'm inspired by Dr. Gowarikar sir, my guru, and Dr. 𝙎𝙪𝙗𝙾 sir, Dr. Govind Swarup sir, Pramod Kale sir, many of my mentors and guru. So my message to the youngsters is that keep a guru or a father figure or a mentor, in life, so you get inspired, and also learn to teach others something from your journey, from your experience. That is what I have been doing, and it's a long way to go. And at the end of the session, I'd like to send across one more message and conclude that after all my training abroad, and I've traveled half of the globe, maybe, but then it's the love for my nation, for my motherland, for my roots. So it's Love of Country by Sir Walter Scott. Written there a man with soul so dead, who never to himself had said, "This is my own, my native land, whose heart never within him burnt." So this is my patriotism, my love for my country, because of which now I'm preparing a young generation, and in this small effort of nation building, Sampurna Swadeshi, we want to do missions in space, defense, and to make India a nation, one of the superpowers in the years to come. Therefore, we need to have our young generation stay back and rooted to our country, to our land, because of which I'm driven to work for my Swadesh. And I have got this much recognition, so I always give back to NASA, I always give back to my country, to my countrymen. And it's nothing so powerful, there's nothing so energetic as being an inspiration to the young generation and showing them the path. So I thoroughly enjoyed being here. Thank you very much, Dr. Pratik. Thank you all for having me here.
Thanks a lot, Leena. It was wonderful talking to you, and I'm sure the message that you have driven for the young generation would reach millions and millions. And that's really a great, great influence that you spoke about. That was awesome. Now I will move to the last part, which is a small tradition that we continue. The two mugs, one you'll autograph for me and give it to me. The second, you will take it with you with my autograph. I'll start with myself.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, may I request you to sign it for me? Give it to me, please. The left hand. Thank you so much.